Hey guys, it's Kevin Triforce, and I'm going to be reviewing Book 4 of Legend of Korra, Chapter 6, Battle of Zaofu. Now, I'm going to say this right now just because I predicted it, and pretty much everybody else did. Korra got her butt handed to her by Kuvira, which we knew had to happen because she had to capture Zaofu, or there would be no more, or there wouldn't be anything left to do in Book 4. They had to have Korra lose. Now, it'll be interesting to see what they do after that, but I'll go ahead and start talking about the whole chapter and then go over my thoughts. So we start off with Sue trying to assassinate Kuvira, and it fails with her twin sons, and it fails, obviously, because Kuvira knew it was probably going to happen. Then she basically explains how they've not held up their end of the deal to the people of Zaofu, and so everybody hears it. And then we're shown, I believe this is the point where we're shown Bolin and Varrick in the train with Batard Jr. in their jail cell, essentially. And so then we see them talking, and Varrick gets it so where Bolin's his assistant on the Spirit Vine project, which is explained later why he did that, essentially. And then we see Kuvira basically say that if you want to stop me from conquering Zaofu to Korra after they've all come out, and she starts to come talk to Kuvira, then you have to physically stop me. So then they start to get in a fight, and then we see them start fighting, and you'll notice Korra's still not up to shape. She's getting her butt kicked, like I predicted, of course, and pretty much everybody else did. Again. And then we switch back, and we see Varrick basically trying to give Bolin hints that he's gonna try to make it explode, so to separate them from the bad guys. The Spirit Vine, I mean. But we see a little banter with Batard Jr. and him about science and stuff like that, and it really gives Varrick more character development. I like that. He needed more. It's easily the best episode he's been in, period. Then we go back to the fight. Of course, still getting her butt kicked, but they did a good job with Kuvira being a really awesome bender. Then I believe this is the point we go back to Bolin and Varrick working on the Spirit Vine, and then Varrick reveals that he has a timer going off, and it's actually a bomb. At first, Batard Jr. thinks he's bluffing, but he's not, as it turns out later on. But then when they try to take him off the train, or out of that compartment, it's revealed he had a detonator also as well, remote detonator. And then so he actually had a backup plan, and then so they all retreat, and then Varrick thinks they're gonna die, him and Bolin, but Bolin finds a way for them to escape, and they have a funny banter. Like Bolin's saying, "I just want you to know, Varrick, I hate you." It's so funny, even though I don't think he really does, of course. But then they escape, and then Varrick said, "You did the thing, Bolin." I love it. It's so funny. He kisses him. It's funny. It's like I said, it's Varrick's best episode. He gets so much development. You see Mrs. Julie, I mean, and it's really interesting to see him like that because it proves he actually does kind of care for her. It'll be interesting to see how that relationship builds throughout the book. I have a feeling we're going to see more of that throughout. Because we're supposed to learn more about his backstory, apparently, in this book, so that'll be interesting to see Varrick's backstory. But then we show the fight with Kuvira and Korra, and then Suyin and Opal are telling her to go on the Avatar stage, so she finally does and starts actually fighting back with Kuvira, but then she sees her, like, Negacore, the Korra spirit from, like I said, Book 3, which is fighting Sahir, and on Kuvira's face, which is interesting because Kuvira was meant to designed to be like an analog to Korra, because they were purposely designed to look similar, or Kuvira was designed to look like Korra, because it was like she was facing a version of her past self, and it makes a lot of sense. I agree with what Mike and Brian said. What Mike and Brian said about that. It's very interesting that they pointed that out. And then Korra loses, like I said, and then Opal and Jinora attack Kuvira, and so Kuvira starts to capture Zaofu, and at this point her hair's down because, like I said, I believe Breck have said they like making the women and the girls, well, the girls in the show specifically, the main ones, like having their hair go down, because you see that pretty much every season finale or big battle. It happens all the time in both Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. So I find that funny. But then let's see. Then Jinora and Opal are using the airbending to make the tornado type idea to hold off the metal benders with the Earth Empire army. And then Jinora does her astral projection, not spiritual projection. That's the same thing. To contact everybody at in Zaofu, like the Iki, Milo, and Suyin and the rest of her family. And they tell them to get ready. We need to leave. And you see like this artwork that Iki and Milo do, and I forgot what his name is, but one of Suyin's sons, the one that's more like of a hippie, I would say, it critiques it, and it's just funny because Milo makes this really good artwork, but he he doesn't like it. The guy that's Suyin's son, that's like the hippie, and then Milo and Iki come, and Milo helps fight back, and they escape on the bison. Is this the one that's Pepper? Yeah, they skip on Pepper the flying bison. Then we see Kuvira tell everybody to bow down to Zaofu, and Batar Senior and hippie guy won't bow down, and Batar Junior gets mad at them, and more character development for them, which is interesting. And they're all sent to pretty much assume that they're sent to the re-education camp. So we'll probably see some of that in future episodes, at some point we'll see it. Anyway, and then Kuvira, Batar Jr. thinks he can recreate the Spirit Vine project that Varric was involved in, because I don't think Varric and Bolin survived, so they have that going for them. They can essentially surprise them, since they're Kuvira's group army / the Earth Empire army thinks they're dead, so that'll be interesting when they reconfront each other, and then we'll confront each other again. And then she asks Julie to work. Sorry, I gotta remember that. To work with Batar Jr., and she said she would. Now, I'm still debating whether or not she's being a double agent for Varric or not. It could go either way, but wouldn't surprise me if she legit got tired of working for him. It's still interesting nonetheless. And that's pretty much where it ends. My thoughts on the episode, honestly, I did think it was really good, but I think the fight scene could have been a little bit better. I wish Korra had fought back a little bit more. I understand she's still healing, but I feel like we didn't see a big difference from when she got all the metal poison out, because she said she felt lighter once she did, and I thought, well, maybe we would have seen her fight back a little bit better. But it almost didn't look like it improved at all. I will admit, it was hard for this episode not to be predictable in that regard, because it was pretty obvious she was going to get her butt kicked, so there's not a whole lot they could have done there. But I think there's stuff they could have done to have made it less predictable, because it went exactly like we were saying it would. Well, most of us fans were. So I think that's part of the issue. It was a little predictable, but it was still a good fight. It just could have been better. But I do think it's, like I said, reinforcing that Kuvira really is a formidable villain, and I like that, because that was my big concern, like I said, and I'm really happy they did that. Varric, like I said, got his best episode. I really like the character development they're giving Varric, because he desperately needed it. Sure, he showed up a decent amount in Book 2, but he was barely in Book 3. And then this is really the first time he's been in a lot of episodes, really, besides Book 2, once he did show up, the ones that he showed up there. But he's getting some really good character development. Easily the best episode for him. And I like that Julie's getting character development, because she needs it, because she was like a freaking robot before Book 4, essentially. So I'm glad they're doing that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could think about with this episode. Like I said, I like the funny moments with the airbending kids. Tenzin's kids. I really thought the airbending kids had some great scenes. Tenzin's kids, anyway. So yeah, I guess I'm assuming next episode we're probably gonna end up back in Republic City, and Korra will reunite with Mako and Asami. I'm thinking that'll be the A story, and then the B story is gonna show what Bolin and Varric are doing, since that's typically they like having an A and B story. So that's what I think will happen in the next episode. But anyway, my review rating, if I were to give one, is an 8 out of 10. I think that's what I would give it. So that's all I really have to say for this review of The Legend of Korra, Book 4, Balance, Episode 6, Battle of Zaofu. So this is Kevin Triforce, and I'm signing off. See you in the next review.